All right, so my name is Jordan Kesner. I'm the now the leader of the emergency management group regarding to the GBA. I've actually been involved with blockchain since like 2012 or so. I'm a little young, but I've been involved a while. So I actually first found out about it from a mathematician at the University of Virginia. So I got really lucky. So what we do is merge the physical and the digital. But anyway, so I specialize in Mosaic Warfare and JADC2, which is Joint All-Domain Command and Control. And that's basically what we do in the DoD on linking everything together and making very coordinated efforts that are both autonomous and human on the loop and in the loop. Two different references, but they have significant meaning. Regardless, so we merge together the physical and the digital with regards to critical infrastructure, whether that's, like nuclear sites or ports or local municipalities. So think your bank, your hospital, your schools, stuff like that. And then we want everybody on the same page at the same time. So we get your local first responders and then these various different individuals to make sure that we can respond basically instantaneously. Sometimes we want to be able to get ahead of like an active shooter or something of that nature. So we want to try to prevent or mitigate. And we actually use a few different types of technologies. So that's why I'm involved with this particular group. And so obviously this is the man in charge for all of us. He's helped lead the way. It's been a very big deal. These are some of his personal accomplishments with regards to the GBA. So we're very thankful for his leadership. You can go ahead. So the blockchain maturity model, if I'm sure most of you know about it, but basically we're creating standards within various different sectors so that we can integrate and then onboard and ultimately adopt blockchain into various different sectors. So the maturity model really helps with having some sort of recommendations for standards around those things. So our group, we're getting together because we want to, like I said, we're merging the digital and the physical. So this, for like schools, we actually have a common operating picture software. We do weapon recognition over the existing camera systems. We run a post-quantum encryption to make sure that all of our stuff linked to the first responders is on the up and up with regards to Department of Homeland Security and CISA related requirements. And then we also get ballistic film to put over their existing windows and things. That's kind of what you saw downstairs if you got to see it. We can stop an AK-47 on a half-inch piece of glass. Then we go and we use grants and we use blockchain. So we're working with the grant guys here and we're working with Daniel as well with Stylio in order to be able to get the blockchain to help write grant proposals as we go and collect real world data. And then we actually implement a blockchain into the real solution. So we're using blockchain in various different ways. So our goal is to create transparency, efficiency, and security within critical infrastructure. Emergency management is part of critical infrastructure. There's actually 16 or 17 different sectors, depending on who you're talking to. And then we create resiliency. We want each system to be adaptable. So this is where Mosaic Warfare and Edge IoT operations come into play. So if you haven't heard of the term Mosaic Warfare, it's kind of, if you think of a normal mosaic picture, each individual tile or rock or piece or part is a radio, a sensor, a satellite, a person, a canine, whatever you want to mix and match, right? But that is basically a battlefield IoT network, and it's no different than it would be for any other IoT network. All IoT networks are highly vulnerable, so being able to push encryption to each individual node is very important. And then we work with post-quantum encryption in order to actually encrypt every data packet. So these are some reasons why emergency management matters with regards to critical infrastructure, because you can't have any emergency services without your fuel, your power, transportation, communications, yada, 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 right? So on the blockchain side, we can be able to get sustainability of these services, the energy for the equipment. Obviously, you have to have energy for the blockchain. And then being able to have trusted data or provenance to our data, very, very important, because you got to be able to trust the source of the data in order to respond to the data. And then distributed simultaneous asynchronous orchestration. Big mouthful, but basically distributed because we want to have a blockchain-based ecosystem, so multiple different operations on the edge. We also want things to happen either in a domino effect or at the same time, right? So if it's emergency response, you can't have this stuff rolling out super slow. And in order to have a simultaneous response, you have to trust the data. So again, the encryption, the blockchain, all this is very important. And then we orchestrate different types of outcomes. So that's either like a response to a car wreck versus a response to an active shooter. There's a playbook for both of those, but they're different. So then we activate both at the same time. So these are some opportunities for blockchain right now that's happening in the US. There's a lot of different things happening abroad as well, but make sure that you're paying attention to these various situations. And NIST just had some few recent announcements, and they're trying to move for post-quantum encryption by 2035. Probably going to happen sooner, hopefully sooner, because if not, we'll probably have more CrowdStrike, SolarWinds, things of that nature. These are some challenges. So I have dots on all the way down through here. But anyway, but leadership, like, I don't know how many of you all went and tried to speak about blockchain to any of our government officials, but it's interesting. Yeah. So we need to continue with these working groups to have leadership around how do we actually articulate this to individuals. And then the provenance and the data, a lot of people work on that, but it's super important. Adoption of the solution goes along with the leadership and the understanding. This goes with community understanding. So how can we get blockchain within various different local emergency responses might be able to start to build an infrastructure that business can actually build on. So the way we look at this is like fiber, for instance, right? Most of the time companies, unless you're like a large casino or someone that's determined to get fiber somewhere, most of the time businesses don't lead the way. So it's usually, infrastructure is usually ran by the state and local leaders, and then businesses get on to that particular internet, right? So we have a feeling that that's how blockchain is going to kind of end up happening. But we want businesses to lead the conversation to say we want it, right? And so we can build some resiliency to this network. So this is why it matters. How does it impact the infrastructure? This is a long-winded response. I have a lady that wrote these, and I told her there's too many words. So I sent her over notes and stuff. So I'm working on these as well, but I just started this particular slides 2 days ago, so I apologize. However, this information is important. So if you want to be able to have local, regional, and state response to stuff, then you have to have a hierarchy, and you have to have bubbles of communication. And then those bubbles, if needed to intersect at a state and local level, then there has to be trust between that. Again, blockchain, trusted smart contracts, etc. So anyway, that's all that we're doing. We would love for you to be a part of the emergency management group if you could, and help us deploy some of these solutions across the U.S.